Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, how to get it today. Another hour with an amazing international guest from all the way from UK. And you are going to love our conversation as we dive into the concept of financial fitness. How many of us think of our fitness includes financial fitness? So as we kick our conversation off today, let's take a moment and think about why are we talking about unleashing our inner Goldilocks, and what is the value in finding our inner Goldilocks so that we can unleash it. To me, Goldilocks symbolizes balance. As a young girl, here she is. She knew exactly how she wanted her food to be. She wanted to make sure it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. When she sat on a surface, laid down on a surface, she made very sure that it was just right for her. Take a step back, whether you were a boy or a girl. Remember the days when you knew exactly what you wanted, you knew exactly how you wanted, and you made sure that you got it just right. And the adults around you pretty much made it happen because you had a way of making them want to give you the way exactly you wanted things, right? So it's inherently something we are born with, but we tend to forget it or mask it as we grow. And part of what we are trying to recapture here is how do we recapture that inner centeredness where I knew exactly what I wanted and I knew how to influence other people to get it, right? In childhood, it starts from a very selfish, I need to be taken care of mode. But in adulthood, it can empower us and empower those around us. What do I mean by that? Research shows that we can each influence only 3 levels from where we are, just 3 levels. So if I am at the extreme right end of a particular issue, whatever issue that may be, I can only influence 3 levels towards the center because I'm already at the extreme. If I'm at the extreme left end of an issue, once again, I can only influence 3 levels towards the center because I'm actually at the extreme left end. But what if I am capable of looking at a situation holistically from all aspects, and then I come from a centeredness where I understand the 2 extremes and everything in between, and I understand the value of coming from that center so that there can be a larger coalition. And all of a sudden, I can influence 3 levels to my right, 3 levels to my left, and everybody else in that centered position. Now I have geometrically magnified my 3 levels of influence to 7 degrees of influence, right? Even in the most selfish state, I am pursuing my career, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a professional, I am trying to drive my success. And my success is predicated on me influencing all the stakeholders to go along for the journey and help me be successful, right? Because no one person can accomplish everything on their own because they have a consumer market to take care of. They have a regulatory market to function under. They have vendors and suppliers and all employees. All of these stakeholders have to be taken care of. So we need to find a way to influence everybody. And the larger the influence, the greater the success. And therefore, to create that larger influence, we find ourselves slowly getting towards the center. And if we don't, we'll be scoping ourselves out of business, whether I'm an entrepreneur or a professional working in a corporate environment. Let me give you an example. I once had a group of businessmen from a local town chamber approach me and asked me to help them revamp their business. This was soon after the subprime crisis. And as I was sitting down and talking to them, they told me they don't want to do business with women. They don't want to do business with people of color. They're telling me all the things they don't want to do. So I took the stats and talked to them and said, okay, 51% of the market are women. So you only want to do business with 49% of the men in the community. Now, not all 49% of the men are Caucasian. So once we take all these other people out, you have a market of 25%. and all five of you are competing for that same 5%, how profitable do you think you're going to be? And even if each of you got that full 25%, is that going to cover the cost of your business? Right? So all of a sudden the light bulb went on, and part of the coaching and the training that happened is, how do you get to the center? Keep your biases to yourself, but from a business perspective, come from that centeredness, because your own prosperity is depending on it. And so keep that in mind as we continue to have this conversation today. And Goldilocks is a great reminder for us to come from that place of centeredness so that we can find our empowerment and we can share the prosperity so that we can lift up our community and thrive alongside other people. Why is another reason centeredness is important? We all have a purpose in life. Some might say, I still haven't found my purpose. There is a way to finding your purpose. Your purpose is at the centeredness, at the intersection of what you love, what you're great at, and what the world needs. If you love what you do and you're great at it, but the world doesn't need it, the world is not going to pay for it. Therefore, it's not going to drive your economic engine. Don't forget that third element, because your financial fitness, your economic viability, your sanity, your level of stress, everything is predicated on making sure you truly are finding your purpose at the centeredness of all these three elements: what you love, what you're great at, and what the world needs. As you think about how are you going to find your purpose, and we are today talking about financial fitness, I want to lead with three nuggets of guidance. Financial awareness builds resilience. Without our financial awareness, we are not going to be resilient. We cannot adjust to the changing climate around us environmentally. Financial awareness is pivotal for resilient life because it gives us the stability to have roots and pivot when the environment changes. Imagine COVID. When COVID happened, the whole world changed. We didn't know how the world was going to change. Most people couldn't go to work. And if we are financially aware, we would think about how many months of expenses do we want to save and keep as a buffer. There is a notion that you actually have to have at least 6 months, and if you can, a whole year, because if you're out of a job, for whatever reason, you can actually support yourself and come out of this completely pivoted to the changing environment. How many of you think about that instead of, I know folks think that we live paycheck to paycheck sometimes, but have you thought about paying yourself first? Before you pay anybody else, pay yourself first. Fiscal responsibility starts with paying yourself first. I do a lot of work for Warren Buffett, and he always tells his employees and his stakeholder community, pay yourself first. What does that mean? Before you buy stuff on credit card, before you do things that are going to get you in debt, put aside some money for yourself, because you're going to need it. And whether you put it in the form of money or invest it in other ways, we're going to talk about it. My guest, Neeta, is going to give you some excellent advice and going to give you guidance on how to manage these kind of things, but make sure you are paying yourself first. If you don't think of yourself, don't expect anybody else to think of you, right? As you start building resilience and paying yourself first, you need to start believing that your financial freedom is priceless. Because there is no freedom without financial freedom. When you are in debt, you are in shackles. And you're always working for the banks you owe money to. You're not working for you. And everybody prides themselves to be a free person living in a free country, wherever you are. But remember, you're really not free until you're financially free. So how are you going to get there? How are you going to live a life of freedom is something we are going to dive into. And I am super excited to have Neeta Solanki join us from the UK. Welcome, Neeta.
Thank you very much, Kash, and thank you for all our guests today. It's a great opportunity to talk to your audience. Thank you.
Thank you. Neeta is a former corporate business solutions consultant, and she's now partnering with entrepreneurs to transform and champion their business ideas into exponential financial success, using her tailored, unique agile framework that encapsulates her 20 years of experience in change management, accounting, marketing, process improvement, scenario planning, and using analytics. Neeta works directly with entrepreneurs who are looking for the competitive edge. She gets excited with numbers, analytics, and process efficiency, ultimately to thrive in business and life. So you can reach Neeta at her website at www.neetasolanki.com. Neeta comes to us from UK, as I said. And as we get started, Neeta, can you kind of help us understand what brought you to where you are today to help people find their financial freedom and live their entrepreneurial purpose?
Thank you. You mentioned that you knew exactly what you wanted to do. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do when I was a little girl. Originally, it was I wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, and I realized that I didn't like the look of blood. And then I was like, oh, I'd want to be a secretary. Then I realized I was stronger in maths than I was in English. And so I'm more about evolving in terms of being agile and, adapting to the environment that I'm actually around. And so, when people talk, what's your vision in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time? I'm actually exactly where I want to be, because what I do is adapt to what's around me and the new people that I meet or the new knowledge that I meet as well. And so where I am now is obviously helping CEOs and entrepreneurs to, as I said, give them that financial success, that financial freedom, but taking that balanced approach to success. And it is about taking all the areas that I've learned and everything that's current now to adapt to make it relevant to the person or the business that I'm speaking to.
Beautiful. And we're all evolving because the world around us is evolving. And anybody who thinks that I got my plans, I'm just going to work my plans, things are not going to work out. Because just like driving, there are situations that are going to come up. So what are a couple of pain points you are seeing entrepreneurs and individuals face, especially in this pandemic economy?
Okay, so they are a mixture. I mean, you have some that's reflected on the business in terms of, it could be that the bank balance is drying up, or they're working the silly hours, and it's like just trying out everything. Okay, so as a business owner, it's actually affecting them personally, whether it's the health, the health side. And so you could look at, just their body language, how they talk, to kind of say, what actually is going on here? I'm hearing you telling me about your business, but that's not exactly what I'm seeing. And so it's all about observing the actual CEO as well, but also the people around them as well, in terms of, are they surrounding, whether it's their board of directors or their employees and their team, are they surrounded with the right people to help them actually move forward, rather than being dragged? Because then you're seeing signs of frustration and and they're having to do everything themselves because they haven't either delegated or had built the trust or had the right people around them to take them forward. Okay, so there's various aspects in terms of the person themselves, but the people around them. And then obviously the business is reflected in terms of unable to invest in new ventures or innovation, or they're constantly competing on price because they don't know what the customers value on the service or the product that they sell. So, and then this is where we're saying, you want to look at different angles to see, I can see you, I can see your business, but what actually is around you, your environment. And this is home life as well as business life, because, if your personal life is straining you down and restricting you, then you're going to take that into your business as well. So if you want a healthy business, you've got to be a healthy person within yourselves first.
Absolutely. And that is more important for an entrepreneur who is the leader of the organization, because it's lonely at the top. You can't go home and talk about business, because when you go home, it's home. But when you're at the business, everybody is counting on you to have all the answers and make this a go. So where do you turn? And that's where people like you come in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it has been an absolute pleasure to support people like this, because, you know, the CEO, I mean, they're established in themselves. They know how to, well, they know the business that they're in, the market that they're in. But that, you know, as you said, it does get lonely. And sometimes they need someone that understands where they're at, you know, whether it's a fellow colleague that's at the same level. But at the same time, you want to speak to someone that's will see things from a different perspective. That's not biased towards you, so that they can challenge you as well to say, oh, you know, that sales contract you did, why did you offer so much discount? You know, was that absolutely necessary? And so they not only need someone to listen to, but also challenge them to say, you know, was that the actual right decision? And are you going to be, how could you have done that differently? Because I mean, I found this myself, is that, you know, suddenly when you become the CEO of your own business, you've got no one to challenge you because you're making all the decisions. So it is important to have those people around you, but also someone independent to not only cheer you, but support you, but also challenge you as well.
Absolutely. And I look at financial fitness as equally important of physical or psychological fitness. And for physical fitness, we don't think twice to go get a coach. But when it comes to financial fitness or leadership fitness, we think twice about getting a coach. And we think getting a coach is somehow demeaning or making me less than. But in sports, doesn't matter if Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan have coaches. But I, as a CEO, shouldn't have a coach. I, as a leader, already know all this. But people forget that we all have blind spots. And a coach can help bring all those pieces together and help me stretch and challenge me continuously. So as a coach to leaders and entrepreneurs, what is the one thing that gives you the greatest satisfaction?
Well, their success is my success. And you know, when I see a CEO kind of say, oh my God, I made this, you know, I'm less impulsive, I'm making better decisions, that's them evolving, you know. And just by having someone to, whether it's a well done or have you thought about this, you know, for them to succeed and to get excited. I mean, I say ignite the fire and passion back into themselves, but also into their business. And if I'm seeing signs of that, then that gives me satisfaction. And at the end of the day, if I see someone smile, that's, you know, makes me smile naturally. So yes.
Beautiful. And so I want to slightly pivot from helping entrepreneurs who are already established to people who are stepping into the world of entrepreneurship. We are seeing with COVID, more and more employers are moving to contract-based work. And employees are having to pivot from being employees to gig workers, right? So in order to go and compete for those contracts and bids, people need to understand it's not just their skill. Now they have to function as the CEO of their own consulting services. And that comes with a greater responsibility and being able to see the bigger picture, understand the market, as well as look at data. So let's take a step into that world, Neeta. If somebody wants to start their entrepreneurial endeavor, what are some of the you must think and include this in your planning process kind of tips? What are some of those that you have for them?
Well, actually, when I designed my agile framework, in a way, I was my first customer. You know, I was starting out, and it was a case of asking those right questions and starting up with me. You know, I have 5 Ps. The first P is persona, to say, you know, what is my persona code? What makes me, also what breaks me? what do I want? What does success mean to me? And it's asking yourself those, vital questions to say, who am I? And going back to what you said, the Ikigai model, in terms of what do you value? What do you enjoy? But what does the world need? And what are your skills? And so by doing almost like a SWOT analysis on yourself to say, who am I and what do I want? What are my goals? What are my ambitions? That's your starting point. Because if you know what your purpose is or what you enjoy, by taking that step of being your own CEO, you've got the flexibility and the freedom to do what you love rather than doing something that your boss is telling you to do. So that's step number one. Who are you? What is your persona? And but also, said, what are your doubts and what are your goals as well? Then it's a case of, well, who do you, yes, you are now fulfilling your passion. That doesn't qualify you to know how to run a business. So start to develop your board of advisors, or, to kind of say, well, who do I need? Well, because once you've done a SWOT analysis of yourself and you know what your weaknesses are, actually you want to focus on your strengths and build a team to help you support you on those weaknesses, because you're not expected to learn everything or know everything. So if you, as you said, that financial awareness, but if you have that awareness of yourself, of what your weaknesses are, you'll know that you actually need to bring someone into your business, whether it's as part of your team or someone that you pay as a joint venture to support you on your business, because you want them to help you and, as I say, challenge you to move forward rather than dragging you back. So that's the second P, which is the people. The third P is your presence in the market. And this is something that I look at, when I'm looking at, if I'm seeing a potential client or a potential joint venture, I will kind of see, well, I know what they're saying, but what is the market saying about them? So how are they stamping their presence in the market? Do they have consistent bios? What do you, if you don't put your digital voice out there, then chances are somebody else will. So you want to put out what you want people to hear and see and read about you. Okay. And then I kind of bring in my accountancy knowledge in terms of, if you want to start your business, you've got to have some cash, and where's that money coming from? Are you going to be looking for potential investors? Have you saved enough to kind of get yourself on your feet, or can you actually get some support from the government, or, could be, experts in the industry there who believe in what you can do? And so you've got to look at your cash position, but also how your processes in terms of how you're going to get started. How are you going to market yourself, but how are you going to put yourself out there in front of clients? What are the processes of onboarding a client? So there are lots of things, but some of them you can actually learn as you're going along. And it's okay to make mistakes, and that's really important, because by learning, by showing up and doing what you want to do, you're actually evolving and learning at the same time. And it's always a case of you getting better day by day, right? Absolutely. And the last P is your profit. You want to spice it up to know, what is the problem that you're solving, but then how can you put a price on that? And this is about understanding your industry, but also your clients as well. So that's my concept of, if you're starting out, you want to look at all aspects of your business, yourself, your persona, the people around you, including your client, your presence in the market, your pool of cash, as well as your profit, which is, the financials, the numbers, which obviously will allow you to grow further as well.
Absolutely. And I love how you integrated, it's okay to make a mistake, right?
Absolutely.
Mistakes are not the end of the world. Mistake is a lesson learned on how not to do something at this moment for this purpose. Mm-hmm. If mistakes were bad and Edison had given up, we wouldn't have light bulbs today, right? And without light bulbs, God knows, we wouldn't have light inside of a TV screen to even do these kind of things, right? So it's amazing how, Edison found 10,000 ways how not to build a light bulb. So give yourself a pat on the back and congratulate yourself for figuring out how not to do something. And then take that momentum and go and figure another way out. Because sometimes it may have worked for somebody else and it may not work today for you in this situation with this client, because there is no such thing as one size fits all.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, you'll get, you want to look at, you want to have influencers, people that have already done what you're looking to do, because, one, you could do something a little bit different. Obviously, you want to do it your own way. Okay. So when you're looking at people that have already done what you've done, it's not a case of comparing and trying to be like them. You still want to do things your way, but at the same time, you want to look at what didn't they get right and how can I actually make that work, or what do they attempt to do and failed, and as you said, now's the right time to actually to put it out to market. And so you want to have the right people, but you want to have people that you work with, those that you teach, but also those that influence you to take you forward, but also take those what I call uncomfortable steps to challenge yourself. And yes, you want to be in your comfort zone, but actually, if you step outside your comfort zone, it means you're progressing forward. It's always nice to, be in a cozy job where you can just like go in and without thinking. For me, I want to be challenged. I want a problem that I can solve, because a problem to me is more like a puzzle to say, how can I actually make this work? And so you want to be in that curious mindset to see, how can I make things different? And for those that have tried, how can I make it work my way? And so again, when people say be your authentic self, it is doing what you value, what you're good at, but in your own way.
Absolutely. And growth happens only when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, right? That's so true. And you need to, and this is why you need a coach to kind of cheer you on, to say, I'm not sure if this is right. It's like, actually, you know what, it is. It's okay, as you said, someone to tell you it's okay to make a mistake, because otherwise those automatic negative thoughts, when the ants, they're always creeping in to say, who are you to do this? Or I told you it wasn't going to work. And so you need to squash those ants to kind of say, actually, you know what, if I didn't learn this, if this didn't go wrong, then I would have given up and gone back to my corporate job. Or as you said, we wouldn't have lighting today if it wasn't for those inventors that experimenting to help the world become a better place, as well as themselves become a better person.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to talk to people in your profession and people who've done this for long before you. And don't be afraid that everybody is going to steal your ideas. You can be careful in how you share, and having that network is huge. Now, Neeta and I are in the same profession. We're in 2 different continents. Nothing is stopping us from giving each other a voice and lifting each other up. You know why? There is more than enough to go around. And by lifting each other up, we're only going to help each other and help ourselves. So take a lesson from what you're seeing today. Just because the person you're reaching out to is in your profession doesn't mean they're going to drag you down.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had a common example on that when I was in a network meeting. There was a photographer that was taught, you want to be good at what you're doing, but then you don't want to share. And he felt so lonely in his business because he had no one to talk to that would understand his problems. And I actually said, I know another photographer down in Kent in the UK. And it'll be, she's not competition to you, because, with something with photography tends to happen in person. But if you learn or talk to someone in your same industry to see what are their challenges, then you're bouncing off ideas. You're looking at it from a different perspective, and 2 + 2 = 5. And so you're actually learning by talking to people in your profession. And if you're out there to share your knowledge rather than just take, by sharing, you're automatically receiving. And so you do want to network and meet interesting people with the intention of sharing and helping them grow. And naturally, and this is what I found, naturally you'll grow within yourselves as well. And tell you the truth, during the pandemic, I gave more than I received, and that was absolutely fine, because I know that it was fulfilling certain needs that I needed, which was helping others first, but at the same time, I know that it was actually helping me grow, which sometimes was taken, wasn't as important, but actually it was. And then as soon as you find that, oh my God, this is really rewarding, I'm actually growing, I was actually serving more, because I know that it was fulfilling me in a way that no other job was going to be fulfilling. So yes.
And it stretched you in ways that you would never have stretched otherwise.
That's so true. That's so true. Yes. Yeah.
And you and I met purely because of those kind of circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Where am I stretching? How am I growing? Who can I reach out to? And who is part of my network? And how can we collaborate? And don't forget, as entrepreneurs and as professionals, that is an equally important part of the journey, because when we hoard, we put boundaries and we get cloistered inside. When we open up those walls, then we truly have an endless supply of insights.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how much a random conversation can bring.
I mean, you're saying that, you know, there are plenty of fishes in the sea in terms of clients and everything. But if you know yourself in terms of what's unique about you, okay, then yes, there are tens of thousands of coaches, business coaches, strategists and everything. But I know what's different about me, the qualities I bring, and therefore there is no threat, you know, because if you know who you are and the value you bring to your clients and what you enjoy as an individual, and you're just out there being yourself, then naturally you'll connect with the right people. And although you might say, oh, I really want this client, I really want this client, but you just don't connect, then actually they're not the right client for you. They would have been great for your bank balance, but actually, you know, something like business coaching is such a personal thing, because you want to get vulnerable. And so people more connect on the personality, the person that they're speaking to, which is so important, that, you know, you want to understand who you are, and so that you're in a better position to, you know, to choose the clients you want to actually work with. And this is, you know, same in business with CEOs. They might be, you know, 3 suppliers they can choose from, but people buy from people. And so by connecting at a personal level, you're going to be doing that.
Absolutely. And let's take a step into the area of data and analytics.
All of that.
Because as much as people and relationships and communication are important, so is data. And so you and I are data geeks, so let's jump right into it. When somebody is starting, or somebody is in the early stage of their entrepreneurial business, they may not have a lot of data, but there is a lot of industry data, right? Are you seeing business people, entrepreneurs actually use data, or are they going more with their gut based on where you are seeing things?
It actually depends on the circumstance. So if they're looking for funding, then they need to know, they need to understand the KPIs in the industry. I mean, I remember looking at one investment proposal for some cloud software, and I was looking at their gross margins, and I'm thinking, well, if I was an investor, I want, and I know that the industry standard for SaaS companies is about 80 to 95% gross margin, yet you're showing me a margin of 95%. I'm thinking, you either are going to be really good at your business, or you've actually have highly underrated all your expenditure. You don't know the industry to know all the costs that you're going to be incurring. And so if you are looking at investors, you're going to know what is the market norm, and do my businesses reflect that? And if they are more advantageous, then how can I support that? Because if you've got to, those questions are going to be coming to you to say, well, you know, the normal is 85. Why do you believe you can do a gross margin of 95? What's going to be? And so by becoming aware of those analytics for your industry will help you build a better business case for investors. So that's one example. The others is, you know, selling price. How do you, if you know the markup for your product or your service, then that's going to help you. I mean, it's more important if you're selling a product. You know, if you know the market or norm is say 25% margin on the price that you've paid, then it's a case of you've got a decision to make to say, am I going to be pricing my products at the market norm? Am I going to be undercutting so I get more volume, or am I going to be adding some value so I can afford to actually charge more of a premium? And so by using those, and this is where analytics, you know, whether it's figures or market trends, help you make better decisions. And that's the key thing with analytics. Yes, you want to look at some historic data, but it's a case of how can you use historic data with today's current economic forces to make decisions today and tomorrow. So analytics is so important for those decision making, because it helps you to make evidence-based decisions. I mean, there was one company that I was working for, and they were, analyzing, yes, historic data, but actually seeing where the population is of where calls are made for emergency services. And so analytics was used actually to save lives, to say, if we can get ambulance services located at high populated areas where there's elderly people, which are more likely to have life-threatening emergencies, then we can place our ambulance services strategically so that we can get there immediately, within the timeline. And so analytics is so important. I mean, for me, it was like, oh my God, what I'm doing. First of all, I'm starting to use all my A-level maths in real business, when you think maths is never going to be used in real life. That was so fascinating. But the fact that we're helping to save lives as well, and it could actually be the success or failure of your business. And so by making evidence-based decisions, using analytics, using data, would pay in the long run, for sure.
Absolutely. And don't forget that the data and analytics can be used at home too. A small personal story: when my husband and I met when we were in grad school, we were friends. And he had me come over, he was going to cook for me. And I opened his pantry and he had cans and cans of food. I was from Sri Lanka. I'd never seen food in cans, right? I mean, things grew or animals ran around and you caught and you ate, right? It's like, why do you have all these cans? Do you realize how much money is stuck in this pantry? Are all these still viable, or are some of these expired? And so me being me, started calculating everything and told him, do you know you have about $350 stuck in this pantry and 150 of it is already spoiled? So in that first 2 months of our friendship, I pretty much cleaned out his closet. I didn't even ask permission. I don't know what got into me. I decided I was going to help him be financially fit, right?
Yeah.
So I took it.
Funny you should mention that. Sorry, that's really. I was saying, funny you should mention that, because one of the areas I discussed with my clients is how to unlock hidden profit. Already, it's hidden in your business that you can unlock to release it, and it could be, as you said, all of that capital tied up in your business. So it's a case of, it's going to take you months to convert those cans of food into cash, so when you're talking about, and because holding on to products or cans of food, there's a risk of obsolete, of the food going out of date, and so that's the risk of tying your money into assets. But it's also a case of, well, if you insurance, car insurance or house insurance or business insurance, if you're just automatically renewing, but you're not questioning, am I actually using all those services, then actually your money is just being spent without being challenged to say, well, I'm paying for legal services, for example, but I'm not using them. But should I actually be using them? Or, there's a service, my excess is £500. Yeah, I haven't made a claim in years. Do I actually, if I was to reduce that excess, will that actually make it easier or worse? And so you want to challenge all of those aspects of your business. In fact, what I say to businesses is, speak to your accountant to understand the expenditure that you have in your business, but also then start to categorize them between necessities and luxuries. And then look at those luxuries to kind of say, why is it? For example, because I used to work on the Cadbury's chocolate ground, so smelling chocolate every day was, just my dream, and made it happen. So if I was to talk, I had a niece staying with me last year, and she was baking cakes. And she was using Belgian chocolate, which obviously a bit more of a premium. And I said, well, does the customer know that you're actually buying premium chocolate for this cake? Okay, do they taste the difference? Do they know the difference? So that they can appreciate the value that you're actually charging them. Okay, whereas if they don't, or if you say if it's for children and chocolate to them is chocolate, then you could reduce your cost, which means ultimately making it more of a competitive price for your customers. Okay, but also, what you're doing is looking after your bottom line, because if customers don't value or become aware of why your prices are priced the way they are, then, you know, if you think about sustainability of your business, you're putting that to a threat. Okay, so knowing your, you know, your expenditure, what's a luxury, is it valued, can I actually reduce it to increase my profit? Okay, when it comes to all the overheads in terms of renewals, am I scrutinizing them and assessing that are they actually giving the value that I want into my business? Then what you're doing is, you know, it's almost like you're tying yourself into a contract, but actually you've got the flexibility to look at it and say, can I actually renew and go with somebody else? Okay, and another example would be things like, you know, your running costs of a business. If you've got an office open, yet you're open, you know, say 9 till 9 every day, but your peak period is only on a particular day when customers come in the evening, then you've got to think, well, why am I open, you know, 5 days a week, working, you know, having the office open all the way till 9 o'clock in the evening, when maybe if I just do it on a Thursday, because that seems to be the peak time. And so what you're doing is reducing your running cost, but at the same time, you're looking after your bottom line, which means the customers will also save in the long run as well. And so you do want to look at your business in terms of expenditure, but also revenue. And if you were to increase your selling price by 10%, okay, obviously that affects the competitiveness of your business. But if you were to actually reduce your costs by 10%, then that actually makes a better impact, a multiplied impact on your bottom line. So people tend to focus on revenue in terms of how can I get more customers, but actually don't forget to look at your expenditure to say, how can I get smarter with my cost? Am I just buying things because they used to, you know, because I've always bought them? Is it become a habit? Are my suppliers only contacting me when a contract's up for renewal, or are they, you know, coming to see me regularly so that they can help me grow as a business? And so there's different aspects of your business that you want to look at in terms of expenditure to say, you know, the operations of my business, are they actually helping me move forward to stay with the market, to be innovative, or am I just in my comfort zone and just running my business as normal?
Well said. Well said.
Probably went too much into depth there, but
no worries. No worries. I am going to open this up for folks to ask questions. I see that we have guests here live, so I'm going to open this up. Go ahead.
Hello, I'll ask a question.
Hi, Robin.
Really glad to see you again. I saw you on a prior conversation, so it's really great to see you again and being the guest. And I would be interested in knowing your journey from. I'm assuming you worked for a company yourself, and then made the transition to advising other people, or maybe you still do both. But what was your journey, you know, making that transition from working with someone else or for someone else and doing your current work, and maybe even how you even got involved and interested in finance to begin with, but kind of that transition for your own journey, and what inspired you and what challenged you? How did you overcome, you know, some of those challenges?
Okay, thank you, Robin. In terms of finance, it was my now husband, shall I say, but when I went into college, it was college sweetheart. He actually said, he was questioning me, saying, you know, what do you actually enjoy doing? And I just didn't really have anyone to guide me on what A levels to pick, coming from a one-parent family. My mom didn't really know, you know, what A levels were and everything. And so he actually said to me, well, if you're good at maths and, you know, maybe you want to become an accountant. And so it was because of that I actually went into accountancy. Just by, again, assessing me of what I enjoy and what am I good at. Okay, so that's question number one in terms of, you know, took me around to analytics and finance. In terms of the transition, it was actually it wasn't out of choice, because I actually got made redundant 3 times. The last time was in 2017, and the truth is I had no idea what to do. You know, I was like, I know what I enjoy. I know I enjoy interacting with customers, making sure that, you know, their success is my success. So I actually was going to go into customer success manager. But but I didn't know what to do. And all I could do was actually carry on showing up. So when I was working at IBM, I was given a few accounts to look after. And so I just carried on serving those clients because I know they needed me. And my time was free to them. So it was a case of just showing up and thinking, hopefully I'll know which direction to go. And turns out one of the customers I was working with offered me a job to say, would you like to come actually work for us? And I was like, I didn't actually believe in myself, yet they believed in me. Okay. And it was a case of, well, this will mean you leaving the corporate world and becoming your own boss. And it was like, again, if you believe in me, but I don't believe in myself, let's go for it. And it was literally, it was that, the decision was made for me. And even though there were clues in the last maybe 6 months where I felt that I wasn't quite enjoying or wasn't working to my strengths, I was just in a way in my comfort zone. And so, the universe struck, say, we need to get you out of this position. And that's exactly what happened. So it was an uncomfortable action, but it was a pivot that I did not expect to happen either. Does that answer your question, Robin?
Yeah, definitely. And so what would you say gave you, very interesting that you didn't necessarily believe in yourself, that they believed in you, but what kind of gave you the oomph to take that leap and not just say, oh no, I'll just stay where I am? Is there anything you can kind of point to or think about that maybe even in hindsight, maybe you didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight helped you make that leap? And then what have you learned along the way since taking that first client and then moving on to others?
Yeah, I think because in a way I was selected to kind of say, we believe in you, then I was like, well, I'm just going to be myself. And I tell you what, I really, really enjoyed it because yes, obviously I was working towards on what the client needed and everything, but at the same time I was making some of my own decisions, because within the month, even though I said, look, I've never been a manager, they actually promoted me to a manager. And I was like, this is too good to be true, but it was a case of, taking the opportunity, and in a way it was a motivator because they believed in me that I could do that. I was like, yes, I can do this. And so it was all about just showing up. So it was all about showing up and just doing what I felt. So it was a bit also a mixture of gut feeling and faith to say, this has come to me. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. So how can I make this work for me as well as my client? And I think that's been what I've been taken all the way through. Because when I was working in finance, I actually found that I was, I don't know whether it's common in accountants, they're very impatient. They want to get things done like yesterday. And so I had to rely on IT to get certain things done, like software updates and everything. And I was like, I need it yesterday. I need to be able to do this myself. Okay, so I promoted myself as systems administrator and just said, look, just show me how it's done and see if I can do it. I know I only got accountancy experience. I've got no technical experience, but let's see if I can do it. And I could. And so it was challenging myself, but at the same time, seeing what excites me to get out of bed to say, I'm going to try something new today. Finance can be quite tedious and boring and repetitive, but I made it interesting. I made it to say, oh, I can now do a software upload, and oh God, the data's crashed, we had a power cut, and how can I retrieve all the data? And so I made it exciting. And this is what I found now is that a lot of businesses are using technology to make the office of finance, rather than doing those tedious jobs of checking and reconciling. Data and software technology helps you to automate that process so that you can do more challenging decision making and use your brain more rather than just mundane jobs and everything as well.
Awesome. Love your answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Very interesting and insightful conversation. Thank you for the question, Robin. Go ahead, Monique.
Neeta, I really love that last statement that you said, I made it. I think we definitely want to celebrate that you made it. And for me, something that really resonated was when you said personal life reflects in business and career. So my question to you is, what I want to be able to get from you is, what advice do you have to offer around a money mindset makeover?
Oh, wow. This has been my biggest challenge, because the money mindset has been, I was speaking to Cash about it earlier. it has been the biggest challenge, because to me, if you're helping someone, it's like, how can you put a price on that? Because it's absolutely priceless to see someone smile. And so I find it really hard. And I actually asked this question to a finance expert in the industry. And they said, well, what if they didn't have your advice? What would be the consequence of you not giving them that advice? And now, you know, put tax on it, because that's your value to the business. And so if you know that if you weren't there, so for example, I was helping a salon earlier this year, if I wasn't able to guide them of what they already had when they felt threatened by a new competitor opening by them, then they probably would have lost their whole business. And so how can you put a value on that? Well, actually, it's the cost of their business. And so if you kind of say to yourself, if I don't show up, then I'm actually doing a disservice. Okay. Because if I show up and I know that they're not only going to, be successful, then that actually means that I'm successful. And so putting a price, and yes, you want to be competitive, but at the same time, it's all about the value you bring to your clients to help you put a price on the service that you provide. And so long as you keep that going in your head to say you're helping people to fulfill their dreams, okay, that's when the money mindset just disappears. Mm-hmm. Hope that answers your question, Monique.
Thank you.
Definitely. No problem.
The tax part.
Thank you for the question, Monique, and wonderful answer, Neeta. And Monique, remember, when we are pricing doesn't always have to be cash. And if you're helping somebody start up, or you are helping a community get lifted up, part of the value can come from you owning a piece of that action, right? So look at it as a value for value exchange, and then do it in a way that the cure can't kill the patient. That's my go-to statement in my self-talk, right? So the cure can't kill the patient. What can the patient take? And what is the trajectory going to be? And what is a palatable approach for you and the patient, your client, to actually sort this out? And sitting down and having this conversation with the client, you will not believe it until you actually see it happen. It strengthens your relationship because it shows them you care. It shows them you're vested in their success, and it shows them that you're willing to put some skin in the game. You can negotiate contracts where 50 to 60% pay me now and the rest you pay me over time, right? Or give me X percentage of stake in your business. There are so many different ways to negotiate that. Don't make price a hurdle, but make it a value for value conversation in this perspective of lifting the business up and setting it up to thrive.
That's great advice. Thank you very much, Ash. Yes.
So we are running out of time, Neeta. This is a wonderful conversation. But
Carry on talking today.
Running out of time. So as we bring this to a close, what is one piece of advice you have? Take 30 seconds, 60 seconds and give them a piece of advice, whether they're entrepreneurs or not. What is going to help them start thinking about their financial fitness?
It is going back to taking that balanced approach to success. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the people that you interact with, the people that are supporting you to move forward. And so when you are looking at your business, don't just look at the numbers. Look about how you're helping your customers, your suppliers, also survive in business. So take that approach to business to say, what does success mean to me? Okay. Am I fulfilling that? But also, am I looking at all angles of my business so that it can survive today as well as tomorrow?
Beautifully said. And finance is ultimately a people business, right? And I'm glad you brought that up, Neeta, because no matter what the data says, no matter what the formulas say, people are going to do what people are going to do. And it's human choices that ultimately drives a business or a professional success. So keeping that people element front and center is so very important.
Yes, and I say people buy from people, and obviously it depends on the market and the product that you sell. It depends on the competitiveness. But at the end of the day, people buy from people, and if they see you for who you are, your true authentic self, then you're going to connect for it's more of a future relationship rather than a transaction that's just happening today. So by being yourself every day, being vulnerable, showing yourself as you are, then you're going to have clients today, but also tomorrow. But it's all about that lasting relationship. It's not a case of buy from me now. No, I want to be that trusted advisor to help you on your journey, to be there in the journey, because running a business, it is a journey, and you
Absolutely.
Want to
Absolutely. Thank you so much for spending the hour with us, Neeta. It has been a great, insightful conversation, and hope to have you back sometime to continue and build on this. And I know you have been a source of inspiration and a guiding light to so many who are trying to pivot in this very challenging and troubling times. So appreciate all your guidance, and thank you for sharing this hour with me and with my audience.
Right, thank you very much, and thank you for the questions from our audience today as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And as we bring this to a close, keep in mind that you have to pursue your own financial fitness, because your financial freedom is the foundation for a free life. And so go out there and pursue your financial fitness, build those relationships to make sure that you are thriving, and pivot and transform others. And in that process, don't forget to transform yourself. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.